What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel, joined today by Logan Lommel. He does a whole lot of everything for Dynamo FC St. Cloud. Logan, how's it going, man?
It's going good. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for asking. If you're joining us live on YouTube, hello. Thanks for being here. Feel free, say hello, interact with us as we go along here. That would be awesome. We're going to go through a bunch of different things, talk about Dynamo St. Cloud, its origins, what they're doing now, how they're functioning on Twitter and all of that, doing a fantastic job, and also get to know Logan a little bit more. He's a player. He manages social media. If he's got fandom of other teams, I see Bayern Munich scarf behind him. We'll talk about all of that. And answer some Twitter questions. And if you have any questions, let us know. Logan, you ready to get going?
For sure.
All right, cool. I'd like to welcome on Logan Lommel from Dynamo FC St. Cloud, Central Michigan's leading amateur football club. Logan, welcome to Bros Talking Soccer. How you doing today?
Central Minnesota.
Central Minnesota? What did I say?
Michigan.
All right, you know what? Let's do that again because that's just, I can't believe I fucked up right away. All right.
It's all good.
I'd like to welcome on Logan Lommel from Dynamo FC St. Cloud, Central Minnesota's leading amateur football club. Logan, welcome to Bros Talking Soccer. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well, man. So first off, can you tell us a little bit maybe about yourself and your roles with Dynamo St. Cloud? Because you play a couple different roles.
So I help manage the social media from the beginning along with my brother, Leighton, and then also Kevin Argueta. And we do Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then I also play. I've played since 2017, the first season. Always kind of played with my brother's group of friends and players that have played together that kind of founded the team and just was at the right age to squeak in. Youngest guy on the team. Last year, I was one of the only other high schoolers on the first team, but, it's fun playing with the older guys, playing with my brother, stuff like that. Also helped, ship merchandise or whatever, like scarves and stuff like that, but really just a part of the start of this. Also, we have a website, kind of written the articles on there and helped manage the website and make the website, so all that.
Awesome. That's fantastic. We have pretty much all of that linked in the video description, podcast show notes, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, as well as the website. Everybody make sure to go check all of that out. Didn't realize you were still in high school, man. So
Yeah.
do you play on, is this like your, the main team you play on? Do you play on any other teams?
So I play, obviously high school is my senior year. Just finished this fall. We play in the fall in Minnesota. And then play club for Fusion. So St. Cloud's an hour from Minneapolis, northwest. So I just came home at about 6:55. Drove in the snow from practice. So I drive an hour to the cities back and forth 3 times a week through the winter. And then when I kind of prioritize Fusion for games, because we have so many players for Dynamo, but I'll usually play about half the games in the summer for Dynamo, and then obviously also high school.
Nice. What position do you play?
So, midfield, wing, forward, but I started off playing outside back because that was where we really didn't have too many players first season, so that was interesting. But, anything really. The way we play is really possessive, so wherever you play on the field, it's pretty much the same.
All right, very, very cool. Do you have a favorite position that you like to play?
Forward.
Forward. You like to get the goals?
Well, for high school, it's fun just scoring goals. But
nice. I love it. So you touched on your location there. So when does Dynamo FC St. Cloud play? Like, when is your season?
So the Minnesota Amateur Soccer League that we play in runs from end of May to middle of August. So practically once college is over to once players go back to college. So it's a lot of the teams in the MIAC or the UMAC, their players will play in it.
Are those what are those? Just for listeners.
Division III college conferences, college soccer conferences in Minnesota. There's only Division III soccer in Minnesota, but the Division III soccer is really, really good because of that.
So we had Tom Homa, who was a assistant coach at Augsburg University in Minnesota, on a couple of weeks ago. Where's that in relation to you guys? Is that near you?
That's practically in Minneapolis, right off of U of M's campus.
Okay.
I almost actually went there. Went on a visit. Met Tom. He's a good guy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So where are you in relation to Minneapolis again?
So our northwest.
Northwest? Okay, awesome. Very cool. Okay. And so what's the soccer scene like in Minnesota? We got a little bit of that when we spoke with Tom, but I want to get your perspective, youth, amateur, professional level, fan support, players, what's your perspective on the Minnesota soccer scene?
Okay, so I mean, in St. Cloud at least, a lot of the people that play soccer, it's more of a diverse community. There's a lot of Somali players in St. Cloud and Cold Spring, Melrose area, kind of a suburb of St. Cloud. A lot of Hispanic players. A lot of them play for Dynamo, same with Somali players. And then I'd say a lot of the soccer here is in college soccer, I guess, in Minnesota, but obviously Minnesota United. Very well-liked club, I think. Our fans do a pretty good job supporting them. And Minneapolis City, VSLT, some of the NPSL teams that do really well here. VSLT is taking a year hiatus from the NPSL, but well-established amateur league, the Minnesota Amateur Soccer League, MASL, has over 40 teams and has been around for over 50 years. And really high-level soccer, Division 1 and 2.
Very cool. Very cool. It was a little confusing because there's a major arena soccer league. Yeah. And the only reason I found out about that was because Landon Donovan is coming back or whatnot. And then, we're interviewing you and I saw MASL and I was a little confused. And then eventually, I don't know if you guys said it or somebody else said it, and I eventually figured it all out.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. But...
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many acronyms that can go around, so I completely get it. So what's it like throughout the wintertime? I mean, you're talking about driving through the snow. Does everything pretty much move indoors at that point?
Yeah, pretty much everything is in a dome or futsal. So my high school team, 2 times a week, we go out in the gym 7 to 8 a.m. before school, and we play futsal.
Very cool.
But otherwise, playing in the dome. St. Cloud, there really isn't a big youth club or there's no premier team. So if you want to play at a level like that, you have to go to the cities, unfortunately, but
got it.
That's how it is though.
All right. Very cool. So let's talk a little bit more about Dynamo. So Dynamo FC St. Cloud, Dynamo St. Cloud. What's the right way you want me to say the club's name?
Dynamo, usually people
Dynamo. All right.
But full name, Dynamo FC St. Cloud. St. Cloud.
All right, I'm gonna call it
St. Cloud Dynamo.
What's that?
St. Cloud Dynamo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see, but
I'm just calling it Dynamo from now on. All right, let's just to simplify it for me. So Dynamo, you touched on it was founded in 2017. Do you have the founding story and why it was created or how it was created?
So there's another club, Granite City FC. Okay. And a lot of the players came from there. That started a year before us. And let's just say it wasn't run that well. At that point, now they're playing the UPSL, and it's a different story. But at that point, it just wasn't what a lot of the guys were looking for. And the league they were playing in fell apart. So the 2 coaches that were coaching there, Ed Johnson and Eduardo Silva, along with Father Nathan, is who we call him, helped found Dynamo, and pretty much that core group of players that was originally playing with Granite City went and played for Dynamo in the first season.
Got it. Very cool. Do you know why the name Dynamo was selected? It's a really cool name. Just curious.
So there's a lot of Dynamos, but St. Cloud is known as the Granite City, and there's a lot of Granite City this and Granite City that. So kind of moving away from that, Dynamo. So Dynamo is an electric generator, and because the area is known for mining, dynamos powered the mining industry originally. So kind of playing off of that, we came with Dynamo, and then with the hammer and pickaxe in the crest, and then like a lightning bolt for like electricity from the dynamo, electricity.
I love it. I mean, that was literally the next question I was going to ask. So you touched on it right there. Any meaning behind the colors of black and yellow?
So practically what was left, and I guess it was like the electric generator vibes, but it was something that's different from what's in our area color-wise.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, and it's fantastic. It's a beautiful crest. I love the color scheme and all of that. And so, yeah, I think it's a really well done from a branding perspective. And I'm always fascinated on learning more about that. Switching gears a little bit and talking about your Twitter account, which is how we kind of got connected. You're very active on social media, and you've done a great job growing that Twitter account. You're up to, I think, close to 1,300 followers right now, which is really awesome. Have you guys always been really active and kind of been looking to utilize Twitter since you were founded, or is that something that's sort of grown or picked up speed?
So, I mean, originally it was just posting games and stuff like that and info for maybe players and people that were following. But I think taking inspiration from other clubs and just like learning about, because none of us knew about Detroit City or Chattanooga or Minneapolis City or any clubs like that until we hopped on Twitter and saw what was all going on and kind of taking inspiration from that and trying to create our own little community. So I think that's what it was. I've done a lot of the graphics and stuff like that. So I've helped with that. It's just one of my strengths, one of the things that I know how to do. So I think it's fun to just mess around on there and also be serious and create some hype. Like all my friends in like school and stuff will always talk about it. You know, like, I don't know, it's kind of cool. It's kind of grown.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah, quite frankly, it's really impressive. I mean, what you're doing as a high school student and everything you're getting involved with, you know, you're getting all kinds of really cool experiences and building life skills, which is really awesome. Do you have something that you like to do most as far as like on the business side? Do you like creating the graphics the most?
Yeah, probably creating the graphics. And it's also helped me in school because I'm in an AP art class right now. And I'm doing all this graphic design work for my portfolio, but I don't know. It's something that I've always liked to do. So it's kind of a hobby, but also kind of something that helps out.
And as far as career, would you want to do something on those lines? Do you want to be, you know, a pro player? You know, any thoughts there?
Well, I'm going to Western Illinois for history education next year as my major. Always wanted to be a teacher.
Cool.
I mean, in that free time, I could start some hobby business or something like that. But I also kind of freelance graphic design every now and then and make a couple bucks, but nothing too much.
It's nice. It's always good to have another source of income, man. You can never have too many of those. I want to talk about something really cool. So on January 29th, 2019, you guys were featured as the AS Roma Twitter Team of the Day. You know, what were your feelings when you saw that? Is that something that they give you a heads up ahead of time, or is that something you just kind of wake up to and it's surprised about?
Yeah, so they DM'd us and just asked us about, you know, history, pretty much a basic bio or anything we wanted to say, and then they just picked what they wanted from it. But it was really cool getting that DM.
I believe it. That's awesome. How far in advance did they send the DM? Was it like the day before? Was it like...
It was about 5 days before.
Okay. So
4 or 5 days before.
Got it. So you knew it was coming at some point. Very cool. That's awesome. And they just sort of, did they say like how they found out about you or anything?
No, they just asked. We'd like to feature this Twitter Team of the Day. I think they kind of see, because we interact with Caversham. Recently found them on social media, Football in the City, and Mersey Royal Girls, Moderick. So I think they maybe saw through there. But a lot of interactions there. Also, you know, mentioned them a couple times. Maybe checked out our profile and saw us. It was really cool though. The whole group chat for the team was all blowing up, and it was a pretty big deal.
I believe it. Yeah, man, it'd be a big deal for anybody. I mean, that's really, really cool. I mean, AS Roma has, I believe, hundreds of thousands of followers, right? And, you know, to be featured is incredible. Did you see like a big uptick in your follows or anything like that as a result?
I think we gained like 80 followers, but also one thing is like you just gain some respect. I think a little bit, because I mean, that group that's all been featured kind of all just follows each other.
Yeah.
I guess. So it's been a good support. Those clubs.
Yeah, it's great to get into that network. So that's really awesome. You touched on it earlier, but I want to talk about more like on field, like how Dynamo kind of plays. You said you're very, possessive and players sort of interchange as far as positions. Is that always the case every year? Does it vary up depending on the players that you have?
So at least with the first team, Eduardo is just always. Eduardo's a character if you could meet him. He has some Brazilian background. He's just coming back from Brazil right now, actually. Seeing some family. But he's always yelling, and it's always about, getting the ball moving off your foot, 1 and 2 touch when he's on the sideline. So, I mean, that's it. It's an attractive type of soccer. People have came to the matches and been like I was surprised that it was this level of soccer. Like we weren't just winning games, we were like controlling games. So it's fun to watch.
Very cool. Do you guys have like how many fans are coming out? Is it mainly like friends and family? Do you get like other people coming out?
So I'd say, 50 or so, maybe. It's mostly friends and family, 30 to 50. But I think from the first season to the second season, there was now a handful of people that would come that just found out through social media and are like, what is this? And then a couple have like continued to come. And I think we've picked up a lot of momentum this off season, and hopefully that translates to a little more. But where we are, it's building to something bigger, and over the years playing through our state league and then seeing where that takes us. But the level of play is there to play at a higher level and the players to do so, but just garnering that support is what we've been trying to do.
Yeah, and I definitely want to talk on that a little bit more, and I want to dig into some of the things that you guys are looking forward to doing in the future. But as a typical season, you said it runs from May until August. More about what do you guys do a preseason? When are players always kind of playing throughout the off season? How does the roster come together? So what's that whole process like?
So it's kind of tough because a lot of the players are made up college age players. So a lot are through St. John's University. That's the local Division III college in the Mayak. And so my brother now plays for there. He transferred. But so there's a chunk of players that come from there, and they're kind of available whenever. But then players that may be out of state and then come home in the summer, they aren't available until then, or people don't necessarily make time during other parts of the year that they do in the summer. But it's right now practically just in the summer. And we've gotten together a few times, and we ran open tryouts for the first time this season. But 18 league matches in the summer. So that's quite a bit. And then also as many as little as 2 and as many as like 6 more cup matches. And then also we're adding a few friendlies this season. Already had one against Turbo Sports, who now just joined the UPSL.
Nice. Very cool. So when you're in season, so I used to play on a pretty competitive men's team in the Philadelphia area. Our season ran from basically August through May or June with a break for the winter time. And we didn't play over the summertime because like vacations and just like people just were not generally around. Do you guys ever have to do you have issues with that happening?
I wouldn't say that. It's mostly college age players. So it's just what they do in their off season when they come home. A lot of the people are just from St. Cloud, and that's how it works. It's a lot of local talent, and then also just a group of high schoolers. Majority play on our second team, but good high school age players and that want to play at a high level.
Got it. And weekends matches mainly on the weekend. Do you train how many times per week?
Once a week, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays where we have our matches, depending on what week. But
all right. Very cool. All right. So now I want to circle back on what you were touching on a little bit earlier. I read an article in the St. Cloud Times that Eduardo, who you were just mentioning earlier, said the goal is to eventually become semi-professional. Do you know, this might be, you know, I don't know if you happen to know this, is there like a timeline for that happening? Is it just as quickly as possible, or what do you?
We don't think there's a timeline because we're just trying to build step by step. And there's actually been a couple teams in Minnesota that have went through Division 4, Division 3, Division 2, Division 1, and then joined NPSL or joined a more prominent regional national league. And it seemed to work for them, pick up steam that way. Just make sure all your ducks are in a row. You can do certain things before you can go pay thousands of dollars, as it may be, to play in the NPSL. But we've been offered to play in a developmental NPSL league this season, but I don't think that we'll be going for it, just because we just like where we're at with our two teams.
Yeah.
And trying to get promotion into Division 1.
And then that's perfectly reasonable. Is there anything that you know of that would be like the trigger for, all right, now's the time, if we're getting 100 fans at a game, or if we're, you know, easily winning MASL? Is there something that would, you think, you know?
I think winning the Division 1 MASL league season, and then, you know, like you said, maybe couple hundred fans at a match like that.
That'd be awesome.
I think that would really signify that we can do this. And, you know, it's hard right now to play at a stadium. So we've just been playing home matches at this really nice grass pitch at the community park, Whitney Park, that they kind of set aside. And we're the only ones playing on it all summer. Some nice nets and all that. But so right now our games are free of charge, and we're just welcoming people in, and, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, you gotta build up the fan base. I totally get it. I probably should have touched on this earlier, but how'd you get involved with playing soccer? You know, how'd you get into the sport, and how long have you been playing it?
So my older sister played collegiate soccer, played soccer all her years, and my brother played soccer. Little sisters played soccer. I play soccer. My mom and dad didn't necessarily play that much, but it's just kind of in the family, I guess.
Got it.
I've just loved it since I could, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. We're the same way. So you haven't met them, but I have two brothers who are on this podcast as well. Similar thing. You know, we've all kind of played and whatnot. So I know I mentioned earlier you got the FC Bayern scarf behind you. Do you have any other clubs and teams that you support and follow throughout world soccer?
So I wouldn't say that I have this team. Like, I like Bayern and I'll, you know, watch their games, but I don't have this ride or die kind of support mentality to any team necessarily in Europe. But Minnesota United, although I don't necessarily love MLS, Minnesota United is a little different because for me, I've went to their games in Blaine at NSC Stadium when they were in the NASL, and also Minnesota Thunder, which was the old USL team at, I think it was St. Paul Central. They used to play their games when they were pretty small, but it, like, just those small atmosphere games and just knowing what they've been trying to do. I think they're a little different than other MLS clubs.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So they seem more like an actual club where they've grown from a community thing, you know, in the USL, the old USL, and then, you know, evolved into the NASL and MLS, and they've grown as a part of that. And so, you know, the team I support, which is the Philadelphia Union, kind of was born out of a fan group, but so there's a little bit more of a connection to, you know, the fans in the city from that. But some of these other teams that were just, you know, an owner had deep pockets and sort of started the team. You know, it is a little bit different situation. So, you know, that's awesome to hear. I think we have a bunch of Twitter questions I want to get to at this point. We have some of them fun, some of them a little bit more, serious or whatnot. And so you ready to jump into them?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. First up, at Meechin_Kyle asked, pineapples on pizza or not? What's your status there?
I'd have to say pineapples. A couple years ago, I wouldn't have said it.
Wow. So it is a no-go for me, but you like that?
I think it's an acquired taste.
All right, that's fantastic. That's interesting. All right, very cool. Then he asked a more serious question. Do you think the current football or soccer system to us is correct, or would it benefit from more of a European England style system? We have a couple people that asked a similar question to this.
I'd 100% say European style. I think it's hard to break the mold of American sports, but even with the alliance,
the football league.
Yeah. I mean, even just in football, I was talking with my friend today, just imagine if St. Cloud had a football team. I mean, I feel like people would go bonkers. Like, if every community had their own thing. And I think for baseball, it would obviously work. With all, the town ball, this and that would be really cool. But with our roots, it's so hard to change that. I wish it was like that because it makes really amazing storylines, I think it's better for the consumer. I don't know if it's better for people that are running those teams. Their interest. I don't think it's in their interest, but
no, yeah, I think the owners and commissioners and whatnot, probably it's not in their best interest, but it definitely is in the best interest of communities sort of all over, the country and world, which has been proven elsewhere. It's just the economics of it, fortunately, make it very, very complicated in this country. So that's well said. Next question is from at Shentree Athletic. Do you guys want to go over to England to play some footy?
Someday.
Yeah, hopefully we can make that happen. I know we had on Paul, who was trying to get like a Twitter tournament going or something like that. I guess it would be tough for you guys because it's during your season. I think they're looking at creating some sort of tournament over the summertime to get teams together and play for a cup. But hopefully maybe at some point in the future you guys could head over to that.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? All right. At Soccer Noob USA has a couple questions here. So in which of the 4 MASL leagues do you play in right now? Which of the 4 levels? I think you have 2 teams, right?
Yeah, so we have 2. So our first team plays in Division 2, got promoted from Division 4 and Division 3 the last 2 seasons. And then our second team plays in Division 4. You must start at the bottom, obviously, promotion relegation system. 2 teams get promoted, 2 teams get relegated. Last year there were 17 teams in Division 4 because there were 6 new teams that were organized, so they all got put in there, and a couple of them were second teams from the first division. So that was a really tough league for Division 4 comparative to other years. But they didn't get promoted, but they did play last year.
Do you think there's going to be more teams created this year or similar situation?
I'm not sure. I think a couple might actually leave. Well, because Turbo, I don't know if they'll keep a second team in that league, but they've joined the UPSL. So they will no longer be in Division 4, but because they just started last year in Division 4.
Got it. And then what regional and national competitions are you guys in? Are you in a version of the Open Cup, the Werner Fricker Cup? I'm trying to think which is the amateur one.
So we haven't done anything like that yet.
Okay.
But we were looking into it for this year.
Okay. So hopefully maybe something to look forward to. Awesome. All right. Very cool. If U.S. Soccer did have a pyramid, estimate where would you guys fall on that, current status?
Yeah. So obviously right now towards the bottom, Elite Sunday League. But over time, I think if you're saying maybe like 6th division, if there's really a structured way, something like that, maybe 5th, just teetering. I don't know if a club here can make it to professional ranks, but then again, I mean, over time, teams like Newcastle, it's not like it's some big city, but just over time.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about what, owners commit to, what the community sort of gets involved in, and, you can build something from nothing. And that's always a fantastic success story. Would you ever like to see, last question from Soccer Noob here, would you want to see MASL integrate into a pro-rel system with another league? Like, it seems like some other teams are going to the UPSL. Is that what you were calling it?
Yeah. No, I think it would be great if every league could obviously work together for one goal, one system. I think it's kind of difficult to do that now. I mean, especially UPSL right now is expanding so much, but they're going to integrate promotion relegation once they get more teams, just like they've done in other conferences. But that would be great to see.
What is UPSL, just for my reference?
The United Premier Soccer League.
Okay, is it national?
Yeah, it's national. So they've expanded. I think it used to only be really in California for the most part, and there's some really good teams from California, and it's expanded nationally, and now Texas has tons of teams. They expanded to Colorado, Minnesota, pretty much just last season. Teams in Wisconsin, all sorts. Florida.
So is it similar level as NPSL? Is it a step below? I'm just trying to get a feel.
In California, it's or in certain places in the country, there's some pretty well run and really good teams. But I'd say in like Minnesota, since there's a lot of new teams joining, I wouldn't say it's at the same level as the NPSL teams in Minnesota. But like the Bavarian Majors could thrive in the NPSL if they played at that level. They're very good. They're very good. And they smacked the league practically last season, but they're a very good team.
Got it. All right, very cool. Next group of questions coming from @Edu Rosales 1979. Any interest or initiatives to join a league like NPSL North? Again, it's kind of touching on some of the other stuff. Is that the league that I guess you would consider if you joined?
I think when the managers have talked, that's been the end goal years to come, to join the NPSL. But yeah, so I think that's the end goal years to come. I wouldn't even say years, like whatever time it's right for the community and the club.
Makes sense. Next question from Edu. Your visibility on Twitter is very good. What's it like locally? Are people in St. Cloud getting behind you?
So I would say that people in St. Cloud are starting to get it behind us. And I think it's a little tough when you're playing in the 4th division MASL and couple of teams are kind of over 30s and we're just running into the ground. But I think this season will be a lot more competitive because the Division 2 and Division 1 of the league is practically just college players, and a little less of the Sunday league vibes. But I think this season should go really well.
Awesome. All right, very cool. Something to get excited about. Next question from @Ball and the City. That's our friend JS. He said, "Don't start the cookie debate." So, can you just enlighten us a little bit? What's he talking about there?
So there was a tweet that someone said about Chips Ahoy, Chewy versus Original, and it got all this hype on Twitter. And we just quoted it and said, "Chewy, don't add us." And then everybody added us. There was a poll, and there was mentions, and it began a war, a Twitter feed.
I love it. I love it. But his follow-up question to that, completely different than the cookie debate. What could be done to improve the current structures within the soccer system in America, in your opinion?
So I think the biggest problem, and it stems from it not being like the European system, but youth clubs and the price of playing on a top youth team. I'm fortunate to have the opportunity that I do have in the cities, but other players, especially in St. Cloud, that I play with, like on my high school team, that are really good players, they just couldn't do that. Like they couldn't dedicate. Like it's just kind of sad. There's some great players that will never be seen just because of the means.
Absolutely. And so listeners of our podcast will know I'm very much on the record, training compensation, solidarity payments, and, overhauling the youth development structures here is the key to success here. We don't need to go pro rel would be awesome, but for me, that isn't the golden bullet or silver bullet or whatever you want to call it. For me, the biggest thing for soccer and its growth and it being successful here is figuring out the youth development piece. And I think training compensation, solidarity payments would go a long way to that. So that's very well said. Last questions from @Motoric FC. They asked, what was the greatest moment in their history? And they said, you'll know, with a smiley face. So what's going on there?
So they tied NPSL club Atlantic City. That is what happened. And they like to say it a lot, and we like to say it a lot.
All right. Very cool. I actually have an Atlantic City scarf right here because I'm originally from the East Coast. All right. Very cool. That's awesome for them. Logan, before I wrap things up and ask my final question, is there anything I didn't ask yet that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so.
All right.
You've done a good job.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I ask all my interview guests this. What's the thing you're most excited about happening in your soccer world? You can take it any direction you want, but what's the thing you're most excited about?
So I've recently committed and signed to play Division I soccer at Western Illinois. And I'm lucky to get the opportunity, but just really excited, like I'll have to earn my spot and all that, and just new challenges. It's that, I think, for me personally, but then also with Dynamo, just the future growing the club, seeing all this social media craze maybe translate onto the field, and like how we had open tryouts and 40 guys showed up paying to earn a spot on the team, and we actually found some great players from it. But seeing this hype and everybody finding out about us on social media translate onto the field is just great to see.
That is very exciting. So best of luck at Western Illinois next year, and I'm sure you'll earn a spot and go on to amazing things. So can you quickly just tell people, again, we have it linked in the video description and podcast show notes, but can you tell people where to find you online?
So on Twitter or Instagram @DFCSTC, or Facebook Dynamo FC .stc. And then also our website, we have some really great player spotlights. We'll be doing match previews and recaps, all sorts of announcements at dynamofcstc.com.
Very impressive. It looks like you did all that off the top of your head. So that's really good of you to keep all that straight and have that ready to go. So very impressive. Logan, thanks so much for talking to me today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, cool. Listeners, viewers who have joined us, I see we got a bunch of people here. So hello, everybody. Thanks for being here, and hope you enjoyed it. We are going to edit this. It'll be out on Thursday, so go check it out at brostalkingsoccer.com, or subscribe, iTunes, wherever it's going to be. I'll make sure to tag Logan and Dynamo St. Cloud and all of that as we once we post it. So that's it. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Say, everybody.